EU GDPR is the European General Data Protection Regulation. It's landmark regulation, it's already a law, and the fines start as early as May of 2018. The fines are huge, 4% of global turnover, or 20 million euros, whichever is greater, per infraction. But what's really interesting is it's not just EU regulation, it's extraterritorial. It applies to any company in the world using data of an EU citizen. And it requires three key elements that our firm addresses. The first of those is consent, informed consent for the use of personal data. The second is portability of that data. And the third are rights relating to the right to rescind or the right to forget. As such, our platform, which is a consent-based data sharing platform based on rights, actually addresses all the key technical requirements around the GDPR. You know, GDPR is unlike a lot of prior regulations. It really deals with consent and transparency. This is an amazing regulation which is not just going to change the way that we deal with customers' data, but it's actually going to provide a much more open, trusted framework for the customer to engage. As a result, we don't see this as just regulation for the sake of regulation, but rather an amazing opportunity for banks and financial services companies to change the way that they're interacting with their customer in a more robust, transparent, and to be honest, a way that recognizes the rights and interests of their customer. As a result, you probably don't want to be the last company that cares about your customer's data. So we're seeing a lot of activity as people move towards solutions very quickly, not just for the sake of regulation, but to try and do the right thing as well. I mean, obviously, if GDPR fines start in 2018, the scope of the work that has to be done, you have to do it in 2017. However, there's other regulations, PSD2 and other ones, which mean that you don't want to just solve for one reg, you need to look at the entirety of your solution framework. Both regulations require portability, and there's a lot of open API requirements as well in how banks are interacting with other financial institutions and their customers. As a result, we see 2017 as a kind of a landmark change where new technologies are being deployed, not just to comply with the regulations, but to change the way in which data is being shared between financial institutions and between them and their customers. Yeah, it's a short and simple answer. Yes. The reason is, if you are dealing with the data of an EU citizen, you fall under the regulation, whether in the EU or anywhere else in the world. As a result, we're already seeing significant engagement and interest from financial institutions with global mandates and based anywhere else in the world that still has to comply. I mean, obviously they have to worry about the fines and the reputation risk if they get it wrong. But I think it's a bigger question. I think what really matters is the quality of their relationship with their customer. Companies that get this right and get it done first are going to have a huge lead on the market because they're going to be building brand, trust, and a responsible interaction with that customer. And so I don't think it's just about the regulatory aspects of it. I think it's more about the business model and companies that wish to lead into this new data economy. Well, I think it's quite simple. There are three things. Number one, the regulations are here and the fines are coming, so you need to act quickly. Number two, you can't use legacy systems. They're not built to be able to manage consent, rights, and permissions for the use of data that are required in order to solve for it. And number three, you don't want to be the last company that cares about your customers' data.